We'll search over 150 billion records that include, passwords, social security numbers, credit cards, addresses, even private messages on websites, you name it. And they said, they'll come by tomorrow and we want that data, we want to investigate it. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this into my own hands.
Somebody's out there that's as good of a hacker as you. And if they really wanted to get any information on you, could they get it?
I think that security is an illusion.
You're trying to avoid making enemies, is what you're trying to do.
I'm making enemies all the time. You can write custom software onto them that does bad things, which I'll show you more about in a second. And now I just captured their credentials and they have no idea that it even happened. That I was able to confirm that a lot of them they weren't fantasizing, pretending to be kids. There were actual children on this website, and we could do it right now.
Okay, Rob, go to Teen Chat.
Yeah, just type hi. And then wait for the private messages to come in on the top. This might get graphic, who knows?
Wow.
What happened?
I'm already getting DMs.
Seriously? Ridiculous.
And all you said was hi.
Oh, jeez.
What's this one saying?
I would say 30,000 in a day.
At 12 or 13 years old.
So back then it was like the Wild West. So my whole life was consumed by, heroin very quickly. Inside of this is a Wi-Fi chip, a mini computer, and this thing emulates a keyboard and can type at 860 characters per second. So we've caught teachers, police officers.
Teachers?
Yeah, we've caught. I caught a teacher. Here's that crazy one. So.
Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving value's contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, so my guest today, you may not know the name, but the moment you hear him speak and you hear what he has to say, you're going to say, I know exactly who he is. I've seen him all over the place. Ethical, hacker. And for those of you that are parents, I got 4 kids. I don't know how many kids you got. But this is one of those things that you have to pay very, very close attention to today. And by the way, aside from being a parent, if you're somebody that runs a business, if you're somebody that's worried about somebody getting the key fob that you have that enters into your garage or your building, you're like, no one's going to find out how to do that. He's got equipment here. When he walked in, our guy who deals with our servers, he says, look, man, whatever you do, be nice to us today while you're here in the building. Anyways, having said that, the one and only Ryan Montgomery. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for that awesome introduction.
Yes.
And I am super grateful to be here.
So, again, I think I'm more excited to have you than anything else because I've seen a lot of your material, and especially with a lot of things going on today. I remember 6 years ago at one of these insurance conferences I was a part of, it was the first time I heard every insurance carrier, all they talked about was cybersecurity. Do you have cybersecurity insurance? Cybersecurity, you guys never talked about this last year. Do you have cybersecurity? Cybersecurity. Did you hear about that one insurance company that was hacked and they got 2 million social security numbers? All this stuff that they were, and obviously we heard what happened 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I have a lot to say about that.
So I want to hear about that as well. Yeah. But one, for the audience that maybe doesn't know the background, what caused you to want to become a hacker?
So to become a hacker outside of the child safety thing was actually a pretty basic story, but I remember it like it was yesterday. So I was probably around 9 years old when I first got access to a computer. My grandfather worked for a cemetery, and I guess they gave him a desktop computer. It was a monster of a machine, just in size, not in speed by any means. But I didn't know what it was. I was very young. And if you remember, some of the people watching will remember AOL used to send these floppy drives in the mail, the floppy disks in the mail that would have trials for AOL dial-up internet. And I saw that the floppy drive had a specific shape to it, as well as the desktop computer where you put the floppy in had a little icon there that looked like that disk. And I took it out of the free trial case and I put it in there because it looked like it was supposed to go there. And I saw the AOL logo come from a piece of cardboard onto a screen. And I remember that like it just happened yesterday, and it blew my mind. It was like a miracle that I couldn't understand how something in the real world could show up on a screen, and I had control over it.
Yeah, you're 9 years old. How old are you right now?
31.
So 22 years ago.
Approximately. Yeah, I mean, give or take a year.
Okay.
But that doesn't make you a hacker, but that got my interest peaked in computers, and very young age, I was helping people fix their computers, learning about computers, and from there that turned into how does this work, and how do I make it do something it wasn't intended to do in the first place.
That's it. That's how it started. So
That's how it
now
started.
your brain, so it starts there, but then it's like, what if I can do this? And what if I can do this? And what if I can do this? Or is it more like, what else can it do? What else can it do? Which direction were you going?
So it's manipulating something to do something. It's manipulating something to do something it wasn't intended to do. That's basically the definition of hacking. That could be with anything. It doesn't have to be a computer. I think it's a mindset that you either have or you don't have. As for the technical specifics, they can be applied later, but I think the mindset really helps. There's a lot more to the story of how I came up in the hacking community and how I learned the methodologies, learned how to find vulnerabilities in things, which I can go into that if you'd like.
Sure, absolutely.
So yeah, I can. I would be here 6 hours explaining all of it, but if anyone remembers AOL Instant Messenger, it was called AIM. There was also something called IRC, which is an internet relay chat, which is ancient, but that's how people communicated back then online. And I was part of a lot of groups where there were a lot of hackers. All I knew them by were screen names. Mm-hmm. I didn't have their real names for the most part. Most of them would just go by an alias, and so would I. They didn't realize I was a little boy, and I don't know if they were little boys as well or they were grown men. I have no idea. But I guess the curiosity in me, and me being one of the kids that always just say why to everything over and over and over, everything was why. I was blessed to have a group of people that were willing to mentor me and teach me the things that were so interesting. So when I saw something get hacked or I seen a vulnerability in, let's just say, AOL Instant Messenger, I would have a group of people that would be more than happy to teach me how they did that, and then I would recreate it myself. And I'd get that same adrenaline rush, which is like addictive to say the least, which then went on to more things. I mean, if you want to get into that, I will. That turned into, to me, later on in life, I would say maybe 12, 13 years old, joining a hacking group or affiliate marketer / hacking group called Digital Gangster. And if you do some research into Digital Gangster, you'll see there's a lot of celebrities and companies that were hacked by the forum and the members on it. One of them being YT Cracker, or Bryce Case is his name. He hacked NASA and many other government agencies. I became an administrator of the website Digital Gangster, which was full of hackers and marketers, kind of a combination of both. So back then it was like the Wild West. You could send, let's say acai weight loss berries. They were paying, $9 per sale. They would give you a unique URL. You would send that URL out to, let's just say, 1 million people, because there wasn't a junk mailbox, there wasn't spam filters, and then you would just start randomly mailing hundreds of thousands or 1 million people and collect your commissions from these affiliate networks. So we would combine hacking methodology and affiliate marketing. And that was kind of the short version of what Digital Gangster was.
Oh, wow. So affiliate marketing plus hacking combined, and you said 9 cents. So if you send out 1 million, what was the conversion ratio?
No, it would like $9 per sale.
$9 per sale.
Yeah, a lot of times people would be paying for, like an annual subscription to I'm just using acai weight loss berries as an example, but you could pick any product that would be on a network. Which
Acai, are you talking about Manavi, or what company are you talking about?
I don't even know. I mean, like when you sign into an affiliate network, you'll have like business opportunities, dating websites, weight loss pills, any product that the affiliate network is offering.
Got it. And then you would send the email, and if they buy it, you're getting a commission on it. Yes,
and the commission structure would be set up differently depending on what you're doing. So
what's the most money you ever made on one of these affiliate marketing email campaigns?
Without going into the specific details of what and how, I would say 30,000 in a day.
At 12 or 13 years old?
Probably 13, yeah.
So when it's happening at 13 years old, what money is that? What account is that money going into?
So I had a PayPal account that got banned, and then my mom's.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what's mom saying the first time you see 30,000 in them? Is she like, honey, let's do it again. Or is she like, what are you doing? What are you up to?
So my mom has always been like a friend to me, but she's still my mother at the end of the day.
Of course.
You know, I love my mom to death. And my mom has questioned everything I've ever done, but always has my back. You know, she'll ask me a million questions, but she'll be very supportive. She knows that I have a good heart. She knows I would never, you know, try to hurt anybody in any type of way. So I don't think that I can't remember the conversation verbatim of how that all went, but yeah, it's she was fully aware of the marketing.
Now the people that hired you at Digital Gangster, do they know how old you are, or they don't know yet? Because at the time when they're hiring, you're not necessarily putting your age.
So Digital Gangster, you didn't have to be hired. It was a forum that anybody could join. And then, you know, you could be, like I said, you could use an alias, you could use your real name, you could use whatever you wanted. I joined there as under an alias and then earned my way up the ranks without anyone actually knowing who I was. So nobody really knew.
How were you getting the emails to do the campaigns?
Well, you could just brute force them, or you could meaning like A through Z.
Yes.
Or you could the way that I was doing it was I had a name generator, so I would do like, you know, John Smith 1 at blank.com, and then, or John Smith 2 at blank.com. So just generate a list of first names and last names for men and women, and then append a number usually at the end of it, and just ship out as many emails as possible. That was just one of the many ways we were marketing. But like I said, hacking and affiliate marketing, or spamming for other words, kind of went hand in hand with what Digital Gangster did. But Digital Gangster was not a company. It was just a forum where people talked and hung out.
So what did you do after that? So now you're starting to realize, okay, I think there's something here that I can make money with. You're 12, you're 13 years old. What comes next?
So I was in the marketing world for a while. I got into some, you know, I would say some gray areas or some black hat areas, because there weren't like cybersecurity training platforms like there are now. There were like not a ton of learning material out there. You couldn't really go to school for it. I think the only schooling you could go, if you were an adult or even graduated high school for that matter, was computer science. Now is a completely different story. So when I'm learning from people, I'm learning how to do things the wrong way. Being a young, dumb kid, that was, you know, that's a whole story I think we should get into of my past, you know, making bad decisions as a kid. I wasn't the best kid in the world. You know, I didn't hurt anybody physically or anything like that, but I definitely made an impact and regret some of the decisions I made at a young age. What
were some of the decisions you made?
Well, I guess let me preface it with starting to use drugs at a young age. So I haven't done drugs since I was 17 years old. I'm 31 now. So mostly I got it out of my system early. You know, I think I started dabbling at 11, 12 years old, and then I stopped. I remember the exact day when I was 17. I'm not in recovery. I'm not in AA or NA or anything like that. I just choose not to drink. I don't smoke weed. I don't do any drugs. But that was by complete choice. So when I was younger, I guess I'll start off with the rave scene. So are you familiar with raves?
Of course.
So a lot of the younger crowd doesn't know what a rave is. They just know about these new EDM and electronic music festivals. And
are you from here, or were you originally from?
I'm from right outside of Philadelphia.
Okay,
in Pennsylvania.
Got it.
So I was huge into the rave scene at such a young age, and I would sneak out of my house in the middle of the night. I would take a bus to Philadelphia, and I remember one that I used to go to was called God's Basement, and it was in the basement of a church. And for whatever reason, So for whatever reason, this church was allowing a rave, to rent out that space. God's Basement.
What a name for a nightclub.
It's barely a nightclub. It was disgusting.
Ecstasy County, everybody's rolling, drinking water, massaging, the whole nine.
Ecstasy, ketamine, cocaine, weed, alcohol, even I even saw mescaline, I remember, which is, I don't think I ever saw again outside of there. But yeah, you might be able to find God's Basement online.
And this is Philadelphia.
Yeah, and the room probably had 200-300 people in it, and it's about, if I had to take an approximate, like 2,000 square feet.
Is this it?
Yeah, this is it.
Rob, can you raise the audio? We can't hear it.
I can't believe you found this.
week, it's a school cafeteria. On weekends, it's sometimes party central for ravers. When we went undercover on a recent Friday, we found drugs, alcohol, and underage teens.
We are so horrified. If you guys could close this place down, we would be more than grateful.
Parents and staff of the Global Leadership Academy Charter School were ready to protest and block the doors tonight to prevent a Pimps and Hoe party scheduled here. The West Philadelphia school rents its building and basement from the neighboring
there was a
church.
Pimps and Hoe party in Vegas all the time, but that was 20,000 people.
The school says it's complained for months to the church about
having to
having
Okay, you can pause this, Rob. We get the idea. Okay, so God's basement.
So God's basement, yeah. Me, 12, 13 years old, walking around this place with,
At
at
12, 13, you're going here.
Yeah, and let me just show you. I would like this to stay off camera, but let me just show you what I look like so you get a better idea of why they even let me in the doors. Which, obviously, it was an illegal party, but you can see by the way that I looked, all messed up on drugs. I don't think they were going to question me.
Totally tell by the eyes, man. You are.
Yeah, I was 16 in that picture.
You're 16 here.
16 there, yeah. But I didn't look much different, much different when I was, 13 years old doing heroin. So I didn't get to that point yet. But
at 13, you were doing heroin.
Yeah. So God's Basement is one of many raves I went to in Philadelphia, and where it started was ecstasy. So somebody gave me ecstasy. I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing to ever be created. And I would take ecstasy as often as I could, whether that be multiple times a week, or if I could do however many raves there were in Philly. They weren't usually not outside of Philly.
What's the most you took on one night?
I'm not sure, because ecstasy, it's variable in the dosages. So I mean, definitely multiple pills. But once you get to a certain point with ecstasy, and not advising anybody try it, but once you get to a certain point, you don't feel it anymore. It doesn't do anything. I think your brain just runs out of your natural happy chemicals. But yeah, so I continued to do ecstasy, and I really, really liked it. But that was my main drug of choice. Like most people start with weed or drinking or whatever.
You went straight to it.
Went straight to ecstasy.
Very ambitious, yeah.
Yeah, and I love this. But the one night I was at God's Basement, actually, thinking back. And I was complaining about the come down feeling. So when, it's considered a stimulant. So when you're coming down from it, you start to feel bad. And these things go till 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So the sun's coming up, you feel absolutely horrible. And somebody said to me, hey, you can take one of these Perk 30s, which is an they're not actually Percocet, but it's an oxycodone 30 milligram pill, and it'll make you feel better. Which at that point, I've never taken any painkillers. I took a Perk 30. It got rid of that come down feeling completely from the ecstasy, and that way I didn't go right to them immediately, but I kept taking ecstasy and then trying to find any opiate that I could, not heroin at this point, but any opiate that I could to come down from the ecstasy. And then I found out that I was starting to like the opiates better than I liked the ecstasy, and that's when it became a problem, because I was taking the opiates before I even got to the raves, and I didn't have any energy really to be partying at a rave or doing anything at a rave. And those pills were expensive back then. Like I was a young kid, and yeah, I did well in certain areas with marketing, but I wasn't, every day wasn't that good. I didn't grow up in a great area with a ton of money or anything like that. And what happens is you're paying $30 a pill approximately, unless you buy it wholesale. And wholesale, you're going to pay from $17 to $25, and I'm talking a long time ago. Now, people, from what I'm being told, if you can find a real pill, we can talk about the fentanyl crisis if you want, but if you can find a real 30 milligram oxycodone, it'd be $60 a pill on average. So I couldn't afford it back then when it was $30 a pill, and then you have to take multiple a day to even, keep yourself from getting sick, going through withdrawal. And then I remember I was in Trenton, New Jersey, and I was out staying at a friend's house who did not know my real age as well, and I was offered heroin. So I never tried it before. It for some reason was not as scary as it would sound to me. I guess I was so messed up and so sick and just wasn't thinking properly, and a young kid, and brain not fully developed. And then this guy comes up to me in the house with I remember it was a CD case and a line of heroin on it. I snorted one line of heroin out of the bag. I don't know if it was a full bag or half a bag. I don't know. But a bag of heroin is $10. Me taking multiple Perk 30s a day, at, let's say, $60 to $100+ a day, and sometimes even more, to go from that to $10 is now making me feel better, and snorting it was a no-brainer for me. I can not be sick. I can do this. It makes me feel exactly the same, except for a little maybe rush in the beginning. But I was more worried about not being sick. So my whole life was consumed by heroin very quickly, and the same problem happens. So $10 a bag turns into you're buying bundles, which is usually from 10 to 14 bags, and they would sell for about $75. So you'd get bundles of heroin for a deal, if you want to call it a deal, and now you're doing a bundle a day, and you're stuck, and you can't snort that much powder. It just won't fit in your nose, literally, no exaggeration. So then you end up using needles. So I ended up as a 13, 14-year-old kid injecting heroin, and went back to shooting 1-2 bags at a time, and the feeling would go away, which then reduced the amount of money I had to spend, but then ended up in the same problem. You can only inject so much without, you can only fit so much in a needle until you have to keep hitting yourself every couple hours without getting sick. And then it just became an absolute catastrophe for not only me, but everyone around me, my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, everybody that cared about me. And I'm very, my biggest regret is that how many people that I worried and hurt and caused whatever financial harm it was on the hacking side of things, as well as the court cost of just getting in trouble as a stupid kid with drugs. But thankfully, never hurt anybody physically, never had any violent crimes, never got in any trouble behind the wheel of a car with drugs. It was all just drug offenses and stupid minor petty theft things as a kid.
Did you ever have a close call of killing yourself or no?
So, no, but I do have a story that I talked about before on a different podcast, but I'd like to bring it up again because it was something that was very important to me, and we can kind of segue into to this if you want, but the fentanyl crisis out there is really bad. So if you did any, I don't know, did you research me at all, or you said you watched? I watch
God knows how much content on you. Hours.
Well, I appreciate that very much. So I owned 3 mental health substance use. They changed substance abuse to substance use. So 3 mental health substance use facilities. And
is that why, I don't want to say the city, is that why you moved to where you moved to? Because it's known for that.
Yeah, so the reason why I moved down to Florida was to start a treatment facility.
Okay,
that was the main reason, and I originally just started one that had partial hospitalization, outpatient, and then outpatients, 3 different levels of care, and then I opened a detox, which is considered an inpatient level of care, with residential, which is so it was 5 different levels of care, and then 3 different locations. I had over 120 employees at the end of it, and I believe it was 144 beds, give or take, depending on what we wanted to fill the rooms. If we wanted 1 bed per room or 2 beds per room. So, I don't mind saying the facility's name, but it was called Boca Recovery Center, which it still exists. I live in Florida. People know that, and I'm not hiding or anything. But yeah, so one of the main reasons why so this is the new website. I don't think you'd find me on it now, but if you looked up an article like Ryan Montgomery Boca Recovery Center, you'd find some articles from back then.
So you founded this and you grew it from 0 to 120 employees.
Yeah, so I was the founder and CEO. I had a business partner as well who got me into the industry because it's going back to the marketing. What I was able to do from Pennsylvania, I started a marketing company where I was sending. Are you familiar with patient brokering?
No.
So it's a felony and it's a crime to pay per person to go into to refer a patient into a rehab or a healthcare facility. So the way that I was able to generate leads. And I wanted to be compassionate about this because I went through it myself. I have a lot of family and friends that went through it myself, and I'll get into that story after. But I started a company on my own where I was generating leads for people that wanted treatment, that had private health insurance where they could leave the state. They would have out-of-network benefits. And I was, the average at the time of me starting Boca Recovery Center, the average cost per acquisition, if you want to call it that, to get a patient in the door with private health insurance was around $3,000 for the facility. I was doing it for about $1,800, which was kind of unheard of to the rehab industry. The treatment marketers, in Florida that were patient brokering would give the clients or the patients, they would sometimes offer them money to go to treatment. They, if they didn't meet medical necessity by the insurance company, they would try to get them drunk or high so that they would get paid out for getting them admitted into the facility. And that turned into an absolute disaster, if you can imagine. You take somebody in a vulnerable position that, just wants to get clean, or their family, even if they don't want to, if their family wants them to get clean, and you say, hey, I'll give you, $1,500 to go into rehab, and the detox then gets denied by the insurance company, so the treatment marketer takes them back out, they bring them to a bar, gets them wasted or high, and brings them back. They could kill the person, they could take advantage of them sexually, which has happened. If you look up Kenny Chapman, he got, I think it was a 27-year sentence, correct me if I'm wrong, for a ridiculous amount of sexual assault on these patients. It was just absolutely sickening. So I wanted to have a facility.
Owner on Wednesday Rental Courtroom divided Chapman's family. Middlebrook gave Chapman a 27-and-a-half-year sentence for crimes that Villafana said were never before seen in a federal court, turning his patients into prostitutes.
That is an absolute scumbag.
And that's in Florida?
That's in Florida, yeah.
Wow. And you met this guy? You did business with him?
Never did business with anyone like this. So that's why I wanted to kind of give you the rundown of how this all happened. So when I lived in Pennsylvania, I had that marketing company, but I never actually talked to the patients myself. I made sure that they went through an online quiz is basically what I did, because I wanted to make sure they met the criteria. Like, I don't want to send some innocent girl that has an eating disorder and maybe she drinks on the weekends to some facility that she doesn't qualify for. Just because I'm going to get paid more money. So the way that I structured it was I created this quiz. You answered a bunch of questions. It would give you a number to call. That number would then go to one of the facilities I had a contract with, that I trusted, that I knew would help the person out to the best of my knowledge at that time. And they would pay me a flat fee. So I would know in the beginning of the month, I'm 100% going to get this amount of money, nothing more, nothing less. And that avoided the whole patient brokering thing. It avoided me having to get involved with these treatment marketers. And I was making money for these facilities, and I felt good that I was getting people into treatment. But the business partner at that time, his name was Christopher Ferry.
Chris Ferry, him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this guy I had a contract with another facility called Holistics by the Sea, which I think exists still, but I wasn't really a part of that really. He was an owner of that facility at one point, or his family was, or some degree. I'm not sure the actual specifics on it, but I know he had something to do with it because I had a contract with them. And it was a flat fee that they would pay me every month. And Chris, he's an intelligent guy, so he sends me a text message or no, it was a text message. I didn't answer, and then he FaceTimes me, and I'm in Pennsylvania at this time, and he knows I'm doing well. I'm killing it with the treatment marketing ads, and he's like, hey, you won't come to Florida right now, like just joking with me on FaceTime. 3 hours later, I'm on a plane. I call him when I'm at the Fort Lauderdale airport, and I'm like, hey man, I'm here. And he drives to the Fort Lauderdale airport, picks me up. I stayed with him for 3 months at his house, and we became very close with each other. I flew back to Pennsylvania. I got all my stuff in a U-Haul. I packed up my car on a trailer. I drove to Florida, and I never came back.
What year was that?
That would have been 9 years ago.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So at that point, I lived with him for a little bit he sold his shares in Holistics. I believe he sold his shares. I'm not sure how that whole process worked. That you'd have to ask him that. But I know that when we got involved with Boca Recovery Center together, we were in it together. It was just us. We didn't have any. We had a small equity owner, but that was for just logistics. And
did you guys both sell it? So now you've sold the business.
He's still he's the CEO and founder, or
I
just
saw
the
his
founder
picture
now.
on the site. Yeah.
Yeah. He's still around, still going hard. He actually opened a fourth facility now. But yeah, I sold it a couple years back now, and there's a cool story with that as well, which I keep skipping the main point. But the cool story with how I ended up doing what I'm doing now. Is there's the electronic medical record platform ZenCharts, which the site's gone now, but if you Google it, you'll find out, you'll see the logo for it. Yeah, the website just went down, so maybe the LinkedIn, Yeah, okay. So I can explain what ZenCharts is. But so ZenCharts is a medical record platform. And like if you go to your doctor and, they ask you a bunch of questions, you see them typing in notes on the medical record. It's exactly that, just for mental health and substance use facilities.
Got it.
So I happened to use ZenCharts at Boca Recovery Center at the time. And the owner's actually sitting out in your green room. But
really?
Yeah, so the owner at that time, so they came to come train my clinicians on how to use ZenCharts. And I'm sitting in the room with them, and they thought that I was an employee of the facility because I was like 22 years old or something, 23 at the most. And once they found out I was the owner, we talked and we got along well, but I didn't really know them that well. And the guy that's sitting out in your green room right now would be even interesting to ask his opinion on it. But he paid $40,000 for a penetration test, which is just paying a group to try to hack your company and give you a report on what's vulnerable. He just did that prior to doing the training for my rehab. And I said, do you mind if I take a look around? Like, just trying to get permission because I don't want to get in trouble or break the law or anything like that. So he says yes, and he says it like cockily, in a cocky way, like he's like, I'm not going to...
What can you do about it?
Right. So he gets in his car, and before he even gets back to the ZenCharts office, my face was on support.zencharts.com. It was just my face. So my company is pentester.com.
Yeah.
Right? And when we're trying to sell our manual pen test, he brings up that story because even if you spend $40,000 for the best of the best, if they're doing that, in his case, it was the checkbox approach. It's sometimes not enough. Like what we do outside of, like, I'm not trying to promote my company. I just want to explain. This is relevant to everything else we're going to talk about. What we do is we try to emulate what the adversaries would do. We try to emulate what an attacker would do, not just check off this box, that one, and that one, and that one, and skip all of the rest. We try to do that. So Rick uses that story. Rick Glasser, who was one of the owners of ZenCharts, when trying to make sales for a pen tester.
So I just looked at the article, USA Today, National Public Data confirms massive data breach included Social Security numbers. And you guys are, I believe, quoted in here in this article with USA Today about what pen tester does. So talk about Social Security. So we had all these Social Security numbers being leaked, and it says Social Security numbers, names, addresses, email addresses, phone numbers were in the 2.9 billion records within a data breach. Security firm pen tester tells you if your data is involved or not. So
yes,
to the average person, what does pen tester do?
So in this case, we did something we did something different. So almost every single article is going to be referencing that site, npd.pentester.com, which stands for National Public Data. So what we did is we were able to access a list that was for sale for $3.5 million in April. And a hacking group took it from a company called National Public Data, which is a crazy story. Do you know anything about this? So the person that was running that website is, I think his name's Salvador, but he was a Florida sheriff. You can look him up. And he somehow, some way, got 2.9, approximately 3 billion records that include your first name, last name, address, phone numbers, and social security number for pretty much every single American alive and deceased. Because our population is not even close to the 3 billion. That's a third of the planet, I believe. So when I was looking up, my mom, I was seeing addresses when she was a teenager. But the guy that owned the website, and maybe you'll find his name, but the reason. Do you want me to go into how he got compromised or more about the...
Sure.
Okay. So the reason why he got compromised was there was a secondary website that used the exact same login, and they must have been either sharing a server or just had the same technology, and they had a default password. So default password attacks are so common, it's unbelievable. Like somebody leaving the same password on the router or leaving the same password on a device when they buy it, or website that just gets set up. It says maybe your password is password 123. And then if you Google, let's say Cisco default password, you'll see the default password. So this guy, he creates a background check company called National Public Data, gets clearance, who knows how, for all of that data with all the social security numbers, and leaves the default password, which was, I believe, 6 digits long, and on a mirror website that mirrored national public data. So the attackers used that same credential as an administrator to log in and then extrapolate all of the data.
What?
It was as simple as a credential reuse vulnerability. And then pen tester, what we do is like you saw when you looked it up, you can put your email in there. So you put in your email. I would recommend using your primary email, or maybe sometimes even an older one. You should check them all, honestly, on the free scan as well as the paid version. But this is different than the main page. But the main, we'll search over 150 billion records that include, passwords, social security numbers, credit cards, addresses, even private messages on websites. You name it, anything that's been leaked on the dark web. So for $19, we show you all of that data. We show you every social media account, every profile that's associated with your emails and phone numbers, and that includes for your kids too. So to know if your kids are signed up for Instagram and all the other apps, if you want to confirm it, you can easily add them in there safely and securely. Pay $5 extra per family member or kid, and you'll be able to see what all of their data. But it's super important to know which passwords are out there and breached for this exact reason, because our entire country got breached. 3 billion records, the largest breach I've ever seen in my life, and probably the most impactful I've ever seen in my life, happened in the last, I would say week and a half. 6 days straight now, we've been dealing with about 30 to 50,000 users on our website per minute. I have an interesting screenshot I can show you.
30 to 50,000 per minute.
Check this screenshot out. It's been unbelievable, and we do not. I'll say this on here. We don't have the support team to handle the amount of traffic we're getting, but we are growing and adapting quick. Look at this number right here. Every single blue bar there is a single minute.
Are you joking?
How wild is that?
Oh, but most of it is in U.S.
All U.S., yeah.
Canada, UK, Mexico, because U.S. is the one that's, oh my God.
Right.
And that's 35,000 paying $19?
No. That's 35,000 people, just with the screenshot that I took, 35,000 people at one time using npd.pentester.com, which then when they're finished searching there, they go to the main Pentester website, which allows you to search your email. And then that'll tell you your passwords, your address, maybe your social, your relatives, all kinds of information. And then from there, you choose remove my data or, whatever.
How do you do it, though? Now that it's public and the guy has it, how do you remove your data?
So you cannot remove data from the dark web, but you can remove data from data brokers, which is huge. The best way to remove data, in our eyes, is for you to change your passwords, because you can't remove it from the dark web. You can't remove it from people's computers after they download these databases. And I don't know of a better way to explain that, because a lot of people don't understand that we don't have control over deleting data off of people's computers that downloaded it themselves. We do have control over some of the data brokers because they're required to remove your data. So what we do is we take your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and as many identifiers as you're willing to give us. And then we send a query on your behalf to all of these major data brokers and if you don't know what a data broker is, it's just somebody like, for example, White Pages that would store your personal information, including your family's information, phone numbers, everything for just to Google a name and a state, you'll find yourself. We remove that data for you. All you have to do is just sit back and wait, refresh the page every couple of days, see how many removals are in progress, how many have been removed. And then as you're doing that, you can scroll down the page. You'll see all the social profiles associated with your email and phone number and name. And then underneath of that, you have all of your passwords and everything else that's out there. So you get a really good idea of what your digital footprint is for $19. And you really can't beat that, in my opinion. There's nothing else like it. We genuinely don't even have competition because we have a combination of data broker removal and the largest breach database in the world. So it's just kind of unmatched. And
Who else is doing what you're doing right now? Who else does that?
There's not a single competitor.
There's not a single competitor?
No, not.
So how many people have already done the $19 with you?
I don't think I should say, but we're doing well.
Is it over $1 million or less than $1 million?
Less than $1 million paying 19, yeah.
And it's one time. It's not like I'm running my credit every time. It's just one time I do it.
So your credit's not being run ever?
No, I get that. What I'm saying is like a credit test when I run it, this thing I'm just doing it one time.
No, so it's important to keep it on. So there's two reasons why. So data brokers, for the most part, will re-index your data every 90 days. And we will go in there automatically to see if it comes back up. And we'll let you know that your data is back and we're removing it again. So you're going to keep it for that reason alone. And then secondly, if a new password gets breached, let's say yours gets breached in the next 10 minutes, you're going to want to get that email saying, hey, your password's out there. And you're going to get that email before Google Chrome gives it to you or anyone else.
If somebody's out there that's as good of a hacker as you, and if they really wanted to get any information on you, could they get it?
I think the internet's an honor system, you know? I think that security is an illusion.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, there's a part of it that is an illusion. So if a person at the level of hacking as you wanted to find out your social, ruin your credit, destroy your life, could they do it? And they're not an ethical hacker. They're an unethical hacker. Could they destroy your life?
If they wanted to destroy my life or anyone's life? Your
life specifically.
I mean, they've been no matter what I do, people have been attacking me for a year and a half now. I'm trying to do, good things. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm trying to do the best possible things that I can think of, that I'm capable of at least. And people are still coming after me. My entire credit report was published online. I've had pizzas showing up at my house constantly. Craigslist ads saying that I'm giving away free stuff. I've had, almost everything you can imagine. I don't want to give these guys too much credit, but people even threatening my grandmother on the phone multiple times. It's been, anybody's vulnerable.
Is it like a challenge when somebody is a hacker? They say, okay, other hackers wanted to come out and take you out to say, like, I'm a better hacker than you are. Is there that competitiveness within the community or no?
Yeah, so that's exactly what's going on.
Okay.
It's usually younger kids. The younger, you can tell by the way they talk that they're young, and they just want to make a name for themselves and brag to their friends, like, oh, I just hacked 0 day, which is the alias that people know me by online. And really, like, they just look like an a-hole, like they're like I'm the wrong guy. Like, just not because I'm gonna try to do something back, but because like I just want to live in peace. I want to help people. I just don't understand it, but hey, kids will be kids.
I mean, I get it. I understand that part. So let's go through a couple different things, okay, with regards to hacking. So walk me through the most basic thing. So Wi-Fi's, right? We go to a lot of different places. You can use Wi-Fi. What tools do you have to be able to get any kind of information you can through using people's Wi-Fi?
So there is so much you can do with Wi-Fi. So do you want to know about password cracking or?
Give me any of it, from the lowest to the highest.
Okay, so I would say, the lowest would be using a weak password or your phone number as your Wi-Fi password. And you may think using your phone number is not something people commonly do. I see it all of the time. And in short, to hack a Wi-Fi network, at least for WPA2, which is the saving all the technical details, you need what's called a 4-way handshake. So what I need to do is I would send what's called a deauthentication packet, which is just telling your devices, disconnect from Wi-Fi. That's what that means. So your device, whatever that tablet is going to say, okay, fine, I'll disconnect. So it disconnects, and then I'm listening on my side for it to reconnect. And in that process, I'm going to capture that handshake. So I'll take that handshake, which is just a file. I'll bring that home with me. I could take that from your studio, let's say, and then go home, and I have your handshake to try to crack later. And what I mean by crack is I put that handshake file into the computer, and I have a huge list of words and passwords and frequently used things, like frequently used passwords, and like it's called a word list. I'm trying to simplify this, but and one of them is phone numbers. So let's say you have in Florida, you would be 954-516, 305. I have word lists that have every single phone number in the state of Florida. And when you are cracking a Wi-Fi password offline, it's extremely fast. So I could run through every single phone number in the state of Florida in maybe 10, 15 seconds. So if you use your password, if you use a phone number as your password, it's as simple as me taking 10 or 15 seconds to crack it. But the one caveat is I have to be physically within range of your Wi-Fi to capture that 4-way handshake. So, like, if I can bring this on the camera real quick.
For sure. Go for it.
This thing You can do this with a $20 device on Amazon, or even a cheaper device, like there are an ESP, I think it's called, ESP32 or 8266, but this is called a Wi-Fi Pineapple. And this is not your average Pineapple. This is an enterprise, which you would use this on a big engagement that has like a...
What would something like that go for?
This is about $800.
Okay.
But you can get a regular Pineapple, I think, for $100 or $200, something like that. This is way overboard. Yeah, those are the ESP32, ESP. So those, you can customize those in many ways. You can make devices with them. You can write custom software onto them that does bad things, which I'll show you more about in a second. But this right here is like just think of this as a super powered Wi-Fi card that can receive and send a ton of data, capture those handshakes I was talking about, and then you could try to crack it on here, which you're better off trying to crack it on your computer. But this can also be a man in the middle, so you could trick the computers into thinking this is the router. So all the traffic has to go through this and then go to the internet. So you can, you think phishing, they tell you look at the URL, make sure the URL matches the website you're going to. Well, I can make it look like it's the right website you're going to because I'm the one routing the traffic. Or for example, you go to a hotel room and or an airport and you connect to free Wi-Fi and that screen pops up that says, I accept the terms, or you got to watch an ad. That's called a captive portal. This thing, or any other Wi-Fi device, I'm just using this as an example, Wi-Fi card at least, you can create those captive portals so that when someone connects to a Wi-Fi that they may recognize, maybe I de-authenticate their house, knock all their devices off of it, name it the same thing as their house, so their devices try to connect back to it because it already knows it. It's going to pop open that little portal screen and say, maybe sign into Google, sign into Instagram, sign into PayPal, whatever.
You get all of that information.
Yeah, so they put in their information, they press submit, that screen goes away, they're on the internet, they don't think anything of it, and now I just captured their credentials and they have no idea that it even happened. So this device can do way more than that. I'm just trying to simplify the concept.
What else could it do?
It can do multiple different bands, like a lot of technical details that I'm trying to
simplify. Yeah. Got it. Okay. By the way, let me ask you this. The whole story with you wanting to get a hold of pedophiles, how did that happen?
Got it. So I missed explaining even why I got into the rehab business too. I just forgot that too. Should I backtrack?
Maybe just give me the concept here, because the clip's going to be separate. What caused you to want to go after child pedophilia?
Okay, so
pedophiles, yeah.
Okay. So the reason why I got this passion, where it even came from, I don't have a kid, but I love kids. I have a ton of cousins, a lot of half brothers and sisters. But I didn't have this passion until I get a text from my friend's wife, and my friend's wife sends me some screenshots from this horrible website. Which, if you want me to name, I'll name. And it's in one of those screenshots, there was a father that posted a picture of their kid in the bathtub, and you could see their back, so you could tell they were nude. And it said on the title, they have no idea what's going to happen to them tonight. And then underneath of that, you could see a bunch of people, just saying what they were going to do to this person's child. And I was out, and something, obviously it's aggravating, I'm sure, for whoever's listening to hear that, just that one post.
People commenting what they're going to do to the kid.
Yeah. So people were talking about what they were going to do to this person's child. Okay. I mean, they weren't directly there, I would assume, because they're just people that were part of this website. But the father that posted it, who knows what they did to that kid in the past, at that moment and after that. So I left where I was at, and I decided I'm going to do whatever it takes to bring this website down. And I literally, like I said, I left. So I'm on my way there, on my way back to my house. I go to this website. Luckily, there wasn't any CSAM, which is child sexual abuse material, on the website itself, but like on the front end at least. But there were a lot of people talking about it, fantasizing about it, being very graphic about it, which I can read you some of that stuff if you want. But my plan was originally to do what's called a distributed denial of service attack, which just means I'm going to hold the website down so that it just overflow it with traffic so that it can't function. That was what I was originally going to do, which is a very basic, easy thing to do, but that was my plan. And I was advised by an attorney not to explain how I got in, but I can say that it was a custom Zen 4.0 nulled theme that was cracked. That's what nulled means. And I was able to obtain code execution on their server, which allowed me to extract their entire database, which included all of their users, all of the private messages, anything that I wanted to get, as well as 4 other databases from their previous websites. But my common sense started to kick in, and I was thinking, well, I don't want to be in possession of any type of illegal material, and obviously I don't want it anyway, regardless if it's illegal. I don't even want to see that. So the easy way for me was to take out things that had their square bracket, the characters. It's called a block or a short code. And I removed anything that had an attachment or an image, and I exported the entire database. So after exporting that database, I saw the first user, the administrator of the website, was a guy named Nathan Larson. Mm-hmm. And he was a person that ran for Congress twice in the state of Virginia. And I was able to confirm without doubt that he was the owner administrator of this website, rapey.su. rapey.su. And he had three different rapeys. There was rapey.su, rapey.to, and yes, that's exactly him. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, this guy he's a little bit of a nut job, like outside of being a pedophile, like just looking into him. He was into like white supremacy. He was into being against women, or just I think no, it wasn't against women. I think it was what's it called? Being an incel, like involuntary celibate. So this guy just was a whack job around the board, on top of being a pedophile and openly admitting to being a pedophile as running for Congress. So the first thing that I did was I called my lawyer, because I was like, I have all of this data, and there is a politician that is running this website. And my lawyer then reaches out to a task force. I don't know exactly which one he reached out to. I then reach out to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I hit up their tip line with as much data as I could give them, fully expecting them to give me a call or to come to my house to grab that data. And then after hearing nothing from them, I called an attorney in Virginia as well, and where he lived at the time, and told them the story. They were not much help. And I was fully expecting the feds to show up at my door, seize my equipment, do whatever. I was willing to do whatever it took, because I knew that 12 people have to tell me I'm a criminal if I take something to trial. And I don't think in this case, with me timestamping everything that I did, and with all of the intentions that I had, it was pretty obvious that my intention was good from the start. Mm-hmm. 12 people have to say, you broke the law, you're going to go to jail for exposing a pedophile ring. So I was willing to take those chances. I'm waiting for them to come take my stuff. Somebody's going to bail me out, whatever it is. I'm going to do it. It's all going to be fine. But nobody comes. So I'm like very confused by that. I'm like, I have a massive database full of all these people with proof. I have evidence. Like, this is gold. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can kind of force the hand a little bit. So I started hitting up media, which I've never done before. So I started hitting up, it was 11 different media sources that I reached out to. I don't have them with me, but if you needed them, I could try to find some of the recorded phone calls that I recorded with reporters. And every single one, and so it's not the reporter's fault, so I'm not blaming any of them. Every single reporter that I spoke to was excited to run this story. So they all were going to run the story about this politician and the other users of the site. They all got back to me with a very similar answer, saying that their legal team was not willing to run it, or not wanting to take the risk to run it, or variations of that. So I said, okay, well, how about you let them know, we won't include any of the illegally obtained material. Just let people know this website exists on the clear web for anyone to visit, including children. And don't include my name. You don't have to include anything that I obtained, illegally. And they still didn't run the story. So 6 months later, after, me just not understanding why nothing is happening, Nathaniel Larson gets arrested at a layover in Denver, Colorado, with a 12-year-old girl that he raped and kidnapped. And I remember, right now my stomach just dropped thinking about it. It's because it was like, I could have prevented that situation.
What year is this? What year? Because he's been accused a few times. What year was that?
I don't remember the exact year, but if you find if you look up Nathan Larson, Colorado, you'll get the exact year.
In 2020, he was arrested. Larson served 14 months in prison for felony of threatening the president of the United States since 2008. So that's one. Then 2020, he was arrested at Denver International Airport, so 2 years ago, for kidnapping a 12-year-old girl facing up to life in prison. So this is 4 years ago when that happened.
Yes. So but when he got arrested was 6 months after I already knew he was a threat to children. And it was very frustrating that nothing happened.
Why do you think those guys didn't want to do anything about it?
I wish I knew, but at the time I wish that I knew. I know a little more now, but what happened was, so that, this guy ends up going to prison. There's a ton of articles about him getting arrested for that.
Right.
But there, nothing about his website. They didn't talk about this website anywhere.
Yeah.
And there is so much to be discovered, so many people that need to go to prison that are actively hurting kids, and not only just the weirdos and dangerous people on that site, but the children on that website that were selling themselves to these people, which I'll go more into that later, that I was able to confirm that a lot of them, they weren't fantasizing, pretending to be kids. There were actual children on this website.
And by the way, he ended up dying from committing suicide 2 years later.
That's what I wanted to bring up last, was he went to prison and he starved to death, but they claim it's suicide. I don't care whether it was suicide or not. I don't think he deserves to breathe the same air as us. But I find it hard to believe that a jail would take on the liability without jamming a straw down your throat or a tube down your throat to feed you and let you die from starvation. I just find it hard to believe. I feel like the inmates...
What are you saying? You're saying somebody took him out?
I think just, if the inmates are in control of your food and,
I got it.
I think that there's a possibility that happened. I'm not a conspiracy theorist,
Sure,
but
I got you.
I just find it hard to believe a jail would take on that liability.
Let me ask you a question. So how much of this you think is happening right now? How much you think of pedophilia and pedophiles? Obviously, you're seeing a lot of movement with these guys. The YouTubers are going out there catching people with, hey, this guy's getting a 13-year-old, and then boom, they're punching him in the face. Rob, I'm sure you have some of the clips to show. I'm sure you've seen it as well.
Yeah, I did it. I did it as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's part of the story.
So you did that recently, or you used to do that?
No, so that had to change. But so the reason why people heard my story in the first place, so let's just segue, I guess, into that, because this was where that makes sense. So I was doing this after that. So I'll go back to the beginning of when Nathan Larson got arrested and nothing was done about the website, and I still was not acknowledged. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this into my own hands. And I saw there were YouTube groups that were confronting them. They weren't hitting them or anything at this time, but they were confronting them. They were decoying on their own, pretending to be children, grown women, grown men, and then they would confront them in real life. But what I noticed, the common trend of these people was they would, they wouldn't know the person's name. They wouldn't know where they lived, didn't know where they worked. They would just show up and say, hey, were you here to do this? And either the person would sit and talk or they'd walk away, but there'd usually be no arrest, no nothing, no repercussions, unless someone happens to run into that video. So I was like, okay, well, I have some abilities with open source intelligence. It's OSINT is the short term for it. Let me just offer my services. I want to make sure they, don't include my name. I don't want the notoriety for it, but send me your chat logs, send me the phone number that you have for the person, the profile photo, send me everything you can on each person. I reached out to a bunch of YouTubers back then, and I was providing them full case files so that when they showed up to meet these predators, they would know, like, hey, John Smith, I know you work at ABC.com, and your wife is this, and I, so you have a little bit more leverage in telling them, hey, you better sit here and talk to me. And the way that the predator catchers would do it would say, like, hey, you either talk to me or we're going to get the police involved or we're going to call your wife, or give them an ultimatum, even though it's going to happen anyway. It just gave them a little bit more leverage. So I did that for quite a few years. By myself, anonymously. Nobody other than the predator catching groups knew about that. And one day I'm sitting with a very good friend of mine. He's a professional MMA fighter, and I see you have some gloves over here. His name's Dustin Scrappy Lampros, and we're sitting in a garage, and we're talking, and I'm like, hey, man, you train 3 times a day. That's your main career is fighting, And I have this, I can show you how bad it is. So I popped open a teen chat on Google, and I just typed, I think Ashley13 female New Jersey was my username, like 13/F/NJ, or it might have been Florida. I forget what I did, but I hit start, and all I typed was hi in the chat, which I've demonstrated online before. And, within seconds, literally seconds, we could emulate it right now, and I guarantee you we get the same result. There were, 20 plus people talking in the private messages wanting to talk to a child.
This is on the dark web, or this is just regular?
We could Google teen chat right now, and we could do it right now.
Okay, Rob, go to teen chat.
Yeah, and then just do one where you can enter and then hit guest. Any of these, it doesn't matter. You could click any one you want, and then just give yourself a username. Like, if you actually want to do this, do like just a girl's name.
Maria. Do Maria.
13F Florida, or FL. And then,
Put 13, or what do we put as the age?
Well,
I put 13 as the age. Is that too old?
No, that's fine. That's fine. So just click the teen chat. I've never seen this website specifically, but just type hi. And then wait for the private messages to come in on the top. This might get graphic, who knows? But remember, this is the first link on Google for teen chat. Keep that in mind.
Wow.
What happened?
I'm already getting DMs.
Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah, open them up.
Seriously. What did I say?
Let's chat on Teleguard. 68, female 55, GA7E.
Yeah, they want to chat off-site on a, obviously that's an adult. Look at all these people messaging.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ones.
So this guy doesn't know, I'm sorry, these people do not know what this girl looks like. They don't know how old she really is, but they're sitting in a teen chat. And so some of these may be kids. Like that says Molly 15. That could be a kid. But I guarantee you go through a couple of these, you just say, how old are you?
Just lonely guy.
Yeah, that's not a teenager.
Well, let's respond.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask them how old they are. And, the way that we would do it as a decoy, for example.
Let's wait to see what he's telling us to put. Go ahead. What should he put?
I can't see the screen. So.
Zoom in a little bit, Rob, to see if the chat shows. There you go. So, hey, hi, how are you? Hi.
Say, hey, how old are you? I would do that for a couple of them. And you're getting blown up with, look at all these messages. And there should.
It's ridiculous.
And all you said was hi.
Oh, jeez.
What's this one say?
Hey guys, my name is Ryan Montgomery, also known as Zero Day. I'm proud to be part of the app Minect. If you have any questions regarding child safety, cybersecurity, or even any of the gadgets that you see me use all over the internet, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you with any questions or concerns you may have. Stay safe. Yeah, say how old are you?
What's the user's name?
DH.
Okay, just type in how old are you. You openly ask that question? You don't even hesitate?
Yeah, go right. Yeah, usually they'll respond with a real age. These predators they don't have any fear. They're nuts. It's absolutely insane.
What's this one say?
Yeah, look at that. So that's either a bot or a real person. I don't know.
Okay, Elise. So let's see what else we got.
Yeah, and then you can also say hi in the chat again, get some more people going, but. Yeah, so that's an adult.
Are you joking?
Yep, this is just lonely guy, turned 19 in May, hope you don't mind, is his response.
What do you want to respond to be?
I mean, you could say whatever you want, but usually they're like, 30, 40, 50 years old. 19 is still horrible, but yeah, that's an adult sitting in a teen chat. And 19 is a teenager, but he shouldn't be talking to what he knows to be a 13-year-old. Or what'd you set it at, 13 or 15?
13.
Yeah. Yeah, but the unfortunate part is I see... when I was doing this, at least with Dustin, which he's still doing it himself. 561 PC is the group that we started together. It's still around. You start to see, like even on major sites like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, that more men are willing to speak with a child than not. And it starts to make you lose a little bit of faith in humanity.
So let me ask you, but okay, so we've had a lot of people on to tell us.
Look at this.
It's insane. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's insane. I'm actually trying to see how far along this can get.
Look how many there is. It's filling up the whole screen.
This guy just offered his age, high 17 male, metal gods.
That's a kid, okay.
You're assuming that's a kid, right? You still don't know. Zoom in. Hi, how are you? Can we chat? Do you have age preference or age limitation?
Do you like an older boy? There you go.
So what do you want to respond with?
Say yes. How old? So it's unbelievable. Like, so you could sit here all day, but this is, remember, first result for teen chat. So a kid might think this is safe, or a parent might think this is safe. It's a teen chat, the first result on Google. And we didn't even go through all these private messages.
You're still getting a ton of messages, Rob. What's it say, 27? Sorry?
Yeah, 27-year-old. There you go.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, you're in teen chat at 27.
Unbelievable.
So, but here's a question. So if we know this is happening, okay, does the U.S. government knows this has happened, and they know how much of a business this is. We've seen the number thrown around, $150 billion a year industry is what it is, right? Human trafficking, child trafficking. And if the U.S. government really wanted to get to the bottom of this, okay, we have the ATF, right, which is what? The tobacco, firearms, right?
Yep.
We have DEA, we have FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. We have CIA. If they really wanted to create a 3-letter organization purely dedicated to catching pedophiles, they obviously could do it.
Well, a lot of them do. So Homeland Security Investigations has child crimes units. There's FBI, they have child crimes units.
You know how much money they dedicate to it?
Not much.
No, nothing. No. That's in the millions.
No, and it's the second thing next to the drug war.
Why don't they do it, though? Why don't they pursue it?
I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. And now doing what I'm doing, I guess, going back to what, I had to stop doing the project with Dustin, or Scrappy,
sure,
because they considered vigilante justice. So I couldn't sit in court and be discredited as a vigilante catching predators outside of the law. So I had to join a group called Sentinel Foundation, which is awesome. I'm the CTO of Sentinel Foundation. It's full of Green Berets and Delta Force operators and retired Homeland Security, and we work in parallel with law enforcement now. So I'm able to actually get convictions, actually take down big operations rather than one predator at a time, which I think there's incredible value in both, but I had to make a choice, right? It's either I take this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be the CTO of a reputable, NGO, non-government organization that works with law enforcement, or continue to bust them on YouTube and, get one at a time. So Dustin's been doing a fantastic job, and he's been getting arrested, by the way, which is something relatively new.
What's the craziest story Dustin has?
Craziest story Dustin has? Yeah, I like in regard to catching a predator.
Maybe even yourself, like when you were doing this, what are some of the stories of who you caught? And
so we've caught teachers, police officers.
Teachers?
Yeah. We've caught. I caught a teacher. Here's a crazy one. So a guy, his name was Brent, and he was meeting up with what he thought was a 13-year-old, and there's a video of me actually chasing him on YouTube. But he thinks that we're police, which I find that out later, but. He meets up. He thinks he's meeting with a child, a little girl, and I chase him to his car. He peels off. 10 days later, I get a message from another predator catcher group on the other side of the country that he got caught again by a different decoy in person. So he got caught twice, and now he's talking to a decoy again that I was recently made aware of. So 3 times. So think of the times that he has not been caught. And he's a teacher. I mean, you can look him up. I forget. Well, I'd have to look up his name on my computer, but it's Brent something. He had 2 different teaching positions last I checked. And there's been other teachers that Dustin has caught.
What is the profile of how these guys are wired? Is it the fact that even if they get, I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. Boom, they're back at it again next week doing it again. Is it because they just don't think they're going to get caught? Or is it because they don't care what the consequences are? I
can't think like one of them, so I don't know. But from what it appears to be, it seems to be a compulsion that, I have no sympathy for. It's the only mental health disorder, if you want to call it that I have no sympathy for. Like I could literally watch I could watch a pedophile or predator or trafficker, watch them get beheaded in front of me, and I would not lose sleep over it. So I don't know. I think it's a compulsion that they can't help themselves regardless of the consequences, but I have no sympathy for it, and I don't think they deserve to breathe the same air like I said earlier.
Rob, you know who else said this? You know who else said the same exact thing 3 weeks ago? Judge from...
Sheriff Grady Judd.
Oh, Grady Judd, yeah. So
we had him on.
He worked with us.
He worked with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had him on,
Foundation.
and he told me about a story of a guy that he went to jail, and he told him, and he went and watched a death penalty, if you remember, because the guy told him what he did to a 12-year-old girl, And then afterwards, how he says, I sat there and I watched him die, and I had zero sorrow for what was going on. I actually partly enjoyed it. I believe those were some of his words on what he said. I'm paraphrasing. But I think a lot of people are also where you are. I just wonder why there's not that much of an interest in wanting to get to the bottom of this, especially if they're mainly targeting kids.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. I mean, the interest should be there, and I've said this in other interviews and videos myself. If you have the ability to do something about this, you should be doing it. But people don't. You know, I mean, I know a lot of people in the hacking world, which is a small community, but I know a good majority of it, and there's not enough people doing it. Law enforcement can't handle it. A lot of the internet crimes against children's technology is very antiquated, and they need, like I talked to one not too long ago, and I won't name them because I don't want to embarrass them, but they wanted my training and they wanted me to help them with their investigations, and I'd be happy to do that. But that shouldn't be the case. They shouldn't need my help.
What are you seeing here? Hey, high school teacher here, and cute. Any girls want to chat?
Oh my gosh! And this is the teen chat, the first result on Google, guys. Remember that first result.
Wait, he's a teacher asking. And by the way, this website this is not a dark web website.
We can go click another one. We can go click a different teen chat, and the same thing will happen.
And how does this chat room know that's happening, and they allow that? Because that's public. It's not even private. How does the chat know this is happening and they allow that?
This is the part that most people don't understand, is it's every website. It's not just teen chats. It's Instagram, TikTok, Sprout, Meetup, Kick.
You don't have any kids?
No.
Do you want to have kids?
I do, but I'm terrified.
Is this what you're terrified of?
Yeah, because every kid has a phone and iPad, and it's like an appendage to them. You can't, and that's something I wanted to talk to. Like, you know, I'm giving advice to parents is something that I like to do, but I don't have kids, so it's like I feel weird doing it. But in a way, it's almost like I feel like I have to. Like, if I see something bad, I need to let you know about it. And there's something that's different from when I was a kid. Even though I was attached to the computer like it was a body part to some degree, kids really depend on their phone and their iPads and everything else current day. So when let's say your kid is scared to tell you that a high school teacher or a grown man is talking to them because they're scared they're going to get their device taken away, they're just not going to tell you. And then a catastrophe might happen, and then they're going to be dealing with trauma or worse for the rest of their life. So my advice to parents out there is make sure your kids know they can be open and honest with you without the repercussion of losing their device. Let
me ask this question. So let's just say you got kids, and your kids are 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 years old, whatever. You pick the ages, right? What are you teaching them? What are you telling them? Based on what you know, and you know all these tools, what are you telling them? What are you showing them?
I'm telling them to stay off of the social media that I'm not they haven't had my approval to use, I guess. I would like to have access. Like, I don't want to be a helicopter parent, is what I'm kind of trying to get at. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this, because the more that I do, I've been doing it for years now, and my brain is so tainted from seeing how screwed up people are, that I don't know what happens when I have a kid, what I'm going to do. But what I can do, I mean, I would probably be following the same advice that I would give other people that are parents. And I would monitor my kids' devices. I'd let them know they can be open with me. And then, you know, I would try not to be overbearing, but I would ask a lot of questions. Okay.
I mean, we can talk about this all day long, because to me, this is very important. As a father, that's why my kids don't have a phone. They only get to play iPad twice a week. That's Saturday, Sunday. If they have C's, they don't get to play iPad at all. Whether it's 3 months, 6 months, it doesn't matter. And I think too many parents are just kind of giving I'll go to dinner. The other day, my wife and I went to dinner. This 3-year-old kid, parents sat down, gave him a soska. You know what a soska is? What do you do when you give the thing in the kid's mouth? In Russian, they call it soska. What do they call it?
A binky?
What do you call the thing?
Oh, the nipple, the baby nipple?
Is that, go to images?
Pacifier.
Yeah,
okay,
pacifier.
Yeah, it's a binky pacifier.
Was that Jake in the back? Jake, you're so funny, like a voice of God. Yeah, we call it soska, and that's what we grew up calling it. But anyway, so this kid, the mom gives the kid a soska and then gives a phone, and boom. The dinner was 2 hours at Nobu. The kid was stuck on a phone for 2 hours. Jen and I are watching saying, are you flipping? And we're there on dinner with our 3 kids. None of them have a phone in front of them. These guys have a phone in front of them. But it's a pretty scary time to have kids. I don't blame parents who are worried, who are not parents, people like yourself that are worried about having kids. But let's go to a different thing. So I walk into a business. I look at the business from a different lens. I'll say, okay, is it secure? How many employees do they have here? How many computers? What are they using? How do they have it set up? Is how many offices versus how many cubicles? Is it an open environment? Is it a private environment? Are people talking to each other? Is there a culture built? Are people hanging up stuff to show what they're all about? Is there family pictures around their table? Because if people have family pictures around their computers, that means they're probably going to be there a little longer than usual. You're a different story. You're a hacker. You walked into our building. What are you looking at? What are you thinking about? How are you sizing us for our vulnerabilities?
So in the hacking world, they would call it reconnaissance or enumeration. So what I would be doing is trying to see what type of equipment you have, what computers you're running, what operating system you're running, go on my phone, try to figure out what type of Wi-Fi you're running, whether it be WPA, WP3, et cetera.
Why does that matter to you, what kind of Wi-Fi?
Different types of attacks depending on some different scenarios. And if people have their phones out, is it majority Android or is it a majority iPhone? They call it a threat landscape. So I would take the attack surface or threat landscape and then try my best to take over as many devices as possible and manipulate as many people in this building that I can to get what I want. If we were on an engagement doing a penetration test.
If we were in an engagement doing a penetration test, and how long would a penetration test take with you?
Depends on the size of the business, but usually, we have a pretty good team. I would say, in my personal opinion, one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. So usually fast and done well, but a lot of times I get involved as well. So and I seem to be very thorough because I care. It's my company. I'm sure you can relate to that, and it's. Are
you naturally more a CTO? Is that what your wiring is?
No. I've always been a CEO. I just happened to be the CTO of Sentinel Foundation because that's what they titled me. But I handle a lot more than just CTO-related things with Sentinel Foundation.
Let me ask a different question. So when it comes down to CIA or Mossad or MI6 or some of these secret intelligence, right? Mm-hmm. You'll hear stories about the fact that, hey, these guys have the best secret intelligence. Those guys have the best secret intelligence. If you really wanted to, hack into Mossad, mm-hmm. okay, the Israeli military intelligence, or MI6, UK military intelligence, or even our CIA, could you do it? And how deep could you go in?
So if I would, I can't say that I can or can't because I've never tried. But I would say the first thing that I would go for would be an individual. I would try to befriend an individual, whether that be with my real name or with an alias, and I would try to manipulate that individual into doing something that would give me access to their devices.
Okay, so that's your pattern on how to... Okay, so let's just say you got in. What are you looking for to get in? Because those guys, they typically have two separate phones, right? Mm-hmm. And they probably know guys like you, and they probably get trained to be careful on what to do with guys like you, right? Mm-hmm. Turn off your Bluetooth, turn off your Wi-Fi when you're around them or any of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But okay, but let's just say you do. What's your next step after that?
So after I get a...
Say you got a Mossad agent or an MI6 or a CIA, you got somebody. You get info from them, then what are you doing next?
I'm going to try to authenticate to, let's say it's a web server. I'm going to try to authenticate to the web server to see what type of data I can pull from it or hide my persistence on that web server so they can't find me and get rid of me. And then I'm going to try to pivot to the other computers inside of that network or in that organization, whether it be computers or devices. That would be my next steps. So you have to have some point of exploitation or some point of weakness. You take advantage of that point of weakness, whether it be a person or a device or a website, whatever it may be, and then you want to pivot around that network and look for more devices and more people to infect.
Okay, so let's think about WikiLeaks. Okay, Julian Assange, yes. Right? What happened with him? And he just came here. I thought he was here, and then he went back to Australia. Not here. I think he went to Bahamas or something like that. He was somewhere around here 4 weeks ago, and then he flew back to the Bahamas. A person like a Julian Assange, okay, or a person like you, everybody is wondering what happened with the Epstein files, right? It's just it's on a lot of people's minds.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And if these guys did what they did and they held these people hostage, because like even this guy named Leon Black, who's a multi-billionaire, he ends up paying some, I don't know what the number was. What did Leon Black pay Epstein for consulting fees, zoom in, $150 million in fees for tax services. I've never heard of that before. And load him $30 million and also made a $10 million donation to his charity, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of weird to do something like that to
That's
Epstein.
A little odd,
That's a little odd, right? It gets a guy like you question that. If you really wanted to go into finding out what Epstein had access to, what types of files and videos and stuff like that, and that was your real mission, like you were determined to do, because let's just say one of the girls that he was abusing that was underage was a sister of yours or a cousin of yours or a niece of yours. Mm-hmm. If that produced the emotion that I think can produce in a person like you, do you think you could find the files of what Epstein had if you really wanted to?
I think that if I couldn't find it digitally, I would swim across that damn ocean and get on his island, and I'd find it. I would do it that way. I would, talk about, just this, keeping it basic with the technology, because there's way more attacks than just Wi-Fi. But just, even if it meant swimming across, getting on a boat, and just, going around in a circle with that island, trying to connect to one of those computers if he had one, I would try everything I possibly could. Especially while the island was populated. Now that he's dead, I can only go off of what people have, and what's out there. And there's only one journalist that I'm familiar with that I know of that has his black book and his wife at the black book. I don't know much more that was released about the guy. Like I personally don't even know how he became a billionaire. I have no idea. I don't know that much about him.
We just showed it to you. That's how he became a billionaire.
I thought that I misread that. I thought it said millions.
No, but that's one client, though. So imagine the accusations that are being made is the fact that he had so much intel on so many people that he would bring to the island, and he had videos and things that they did that he would come back and say, hey, now you got to pay me X, Y, Z, or now you got to do this. I need this offer, and I need this favor, I need that favor. And that kind of combined, you get a lot of people that are willing to pay the kind of money that they're paying you. It doesn't take much to become a billionaire.
Well, he was extorting them, yeah.
That's exactly the key. Yeah. That's what a lot of people accuse him of.
Yeah, well, I mean, but really, to get extorted in that situation, you have to take advantage of a child. So, I mean, I don't feel bad for either side. I don't feel bad for, obviously, Jeffrey Epstein or anyone that he extorted. If they're going to rape a child, I think they deserve that.
Yeah, but how many people like you are out there in America? If you were to say, capable like you, how many of you are out there?
I mean, it's hard to tell because everyone's anonymous, or going by, not everyone, but most. If I had to take a guess of actual hackers, not just beginners getting into the field.
No, at the level that you're at, if not higher than you, how many of those are out there?
Let's just say 10,000 to 50,000.
That's a lot, though.
I don't know, for China, they have a lot of people. And
I'm talking U.S. How many you think there are?
U.S., I would say 20,000.
10,000 of people that can do what you do.
Yeah, but not working with our army and our military to the extent that people may think.
What do you mean?
I had a recruiter come in when I was speaking at Hack Miami, and the recruiter told me that there were less than 1,000 people in the entire army that is fighting for our country with a computer, cybercrime, or cyber warfare. My apologies.
Yeah, I don't think you would do it because you're not trying to make enemies. From the feeling I'm getting from you is you're trying to avoid making enemies is what you're trying to do.
I'm making enemies all the time.
So do you think, so let me ask you, who do you think is the biggest, well, I don't know. Because to me, I don't know how to do what you do. I don't have that talent. That's your talent, right? Mm-hmm. But if somebody, let's just say I'm living because I don't think it's that hard to find out what Epstein did. I don't think it's that hard to find out what Diddy had on his files for him to get raided in Miami and LA. I don't think you guys look at it and say, how do you not know? I think guys like you look at it and says, how the hell do you not go get it? You know what happened.
Oh, if I had the same authority that somebody that could seize his files or get access to where he was at, if I had that authority, it'd be game over for him. But when it's all sealed up and stored in an evidence locker,
so you still couldn't get through that?
I mean, it doesn't mean I couldn't do that, but I would be breaking the law if I did, and it's already being handled at that point, hopefully.
I don't think it is, though. See, I don't think it is. I think the saving grace to put a stop to the pedophilia movement and the human trafficking is guys like you.
Well, I appreciate that.
I don't think they look like Navy SEALs. I don't think they look like me. I think they look like you. I think they fear the hell out of people like you. And by the way, you know how they took down the mob?
Yeah.
You know the story how they took down the mob. You know who Rudy Giuliani learned how to go take down the mob?
Yeah, I don't know every detail, but yes.
There was a professor at Rutgers University that, I think it was, can you type in Rudy Giuliani, Rutgers mob? Rudy Giuliani, Rutgers mob. Zoom in a little bit to see if there's a story of mob. But there's a Rutgers professor. Type in professor if you can. Rutgers professor mob. Zoom in, see if that story's out there or not. Okay, I'll find it. Anyways, Rudy Giuliani is trying to find out how to take down the mob. Mm-hmm. This professor gets a hold of him and says, the way you're going to do it is through, what do you call it? Through RICO laws. And Rudy says, how do we do that? Anyways, the guy eventually coaches him to be able to find out how to go take him out with and that's how they did it.
Got it. With the RICO Act.
They did it with the RICO Act, is the way they did it. And he was able to get him down based on, and then that was the way 240 guys like this got arrested.
Right.
It's like, oh, shit. And then what happened? Clean up the streets of New York. The mob is gone. Okay? And it's no longer what it was that it was in the early 80s or 70s or 60s, 50s. There still hasn't happened an event like that for 40 years where guys are getting locked up and arrested to say, listen, guys, we're going to leave this business of human trafficking.
Oh, I wish there was. I wish there were. The issue, like I said, going back to what I was saying, is whether they're a big-time trafficker and they're dealing, they're trafficking a ton of women and children, or they're just a single predator/pedophile, or they're a drunk guy which I still think pedophile, even if you're a drunk guy that gets horny and decides to meet up with a child. There's variations of how bad these people can get. Like the sheer amount of them that are willing to meet up with a kid on any platform, it makes me think that this is a problem that I just don't know how. I don't know how we're going to be able to solve it with the law. It's illegal. You could end up on a sex offender registry, but these guys keep coming back. They keep doing it. So I genuinely don't know how to answer that question. I don't know if the RICO Act would solve this one.
No, I'm not asking about the RICO Act at all. What I'm saying to you is, I think guys like you, if 50 of you were part of the I don't give a shit community, which is hard to find that 50. If I was the president, or if the president assigned me to say, hey, I need you to go find out what's going on with, with pedophilia and human trafficking in America. You know what I would do? I'd call you and I'd say, hey, we have 5 other names. We want to have a meeting. I'd have my guys filter you out to see if it matters to you or not. Mm-hmm. If you didn't give a shit, if you're like, it's honestly right now I'm making so much money, I don't want to get caught up like this. I'm living a decent life. No problem. Mm-hmm. But I would bring you guys in, 10, 15, 20 of you. I would say, bless you. I would say, I need you guys to be with me here for 30 days. So if you're going to come, you got to commit to being with me in this building for 30 days.
Yeah, I would love it.
I would want all of us in the same building. We can't get out, okay? I'm going to get you food. I'm going to get you a place to sleep. You're going to get plenty of rest. You don't have to worry about that. And we're going to turn you into a hero for figuring this thing out. I'm going to say, what tools do you need? You're going to say, if I ask you right now, what tools do you need? What would you say? Technology, what tools would it be?
A laptop. Access to, because we built Pentester, and this is not an ad, but we built Pentester upon the technology I was using to find predators. And we flipped that technology around to help people find their own digital footprint and remove it. So I would say, give me a computer, give me access to my own platform, and then that's it.
Let me get to work.
Yeah, and internet. I need an internet connection, but that's about it. And then,
You're saying within that, if I had a room of 50 of you in the same room, locked up, you can't get out, you're telling me you guys within 30 days, you'd figure out what's going on.
I mean, it's not a guarantee, but I think you have a pretty good shot of it. I mean, I don't know. It's a fictional scenario, so it's hard to know for sure, but
Yeah, I think you guys would though.
I believe we would.
I think you guys would.
I believe we would, but it would be me. I'd be lying if I was saying for sure, because I don't know the scenario. If there was a case and you said this is the details, here's the exact target.
Everybody has a mission that they're on and a sword that they're willing to die on. Do you have one or no?
My mission is to number one, educate parents and protect children. That's my main life goal at the moment. But secondly, I realize that a lot of my content is very hard and very, very, very tough to swallow type information. So I thought, well, what else can I do to help other people? And my thought was, help people get into cybersecurity because it's the number one industry in the world right now. We need more people doing it, and it's fun. And I love teaching it. I love simplifying it and showing people how much fun you can have doing the right thing. Like, you don't have to take the paths I took as a kid. You can make a ton of money doing it the right way. So I started making 30 to 60-second videos on social media showing and demonstrating these attacks. And I have people walking up to me literally everywhere that I go. You name it, in a public place. Everywhere that I go, I have people coming up saying, I see you online, and this, and that. There's those people, but what really makes me happy is when they come up to me and they say, that I was their inspiration for getting into cybersecurity, or I'm the reason that they're in college for cybersecurity right now.
It's a very promising career. It's a very promising career to get into as well.
Right, but it's an honor to know that I had a part in that. I'm not going to take credit for it, but to have a part in it,
inspiration.
It motivates me to keep doing this.
Ryan, what other tools do you have there that you want to share with us?
I got something cool that you'll appreciate.
Let me see it. I want to see it.
Hold on. If you want to see something funny while I pull it out, check an email on there, like one of your old Gmails or something. And you can
type in Patrick@thestorybuilders.com. Patrick at thestorybuilders.com.
The site will be a little slower than it normally is because we got like 30 to 50,000 people on it.
We'll wait until it comes. But you can show me what you got and we'll get to it.
Have you checked the NPD breach too?
No.
Your social is probably, I would almost guarantee that it's in there. So you should probably handle that before you post my interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay.
So what is this? Just out of curiosity.
This looks like something I would use to charge my phone. With a charger, yeah.
And so I have every single charger you can imagine, and all of them, right? So actually what this is, the reason why I have this little orange thing here is because there is no way I'd ever know that this was a charger. That this was not a charger without this orange tag, because it is that perfect. So the NSA is selling these for $20,000. And I have a friend, MG, he goes by, who is selling them for a couple $100s a piece. And I have a bunch of them I can show you. But this one I preloaded with something cool that you'll appreciate.
Okay.
So this is a charger that will work. I could hand this to you and say, hey, here's my charger, man, or replace yours, right? Whatever you got plugged in, I'm sure I have a replacement for that.
Okay.
You bring this home, it could act like a charger forever, but as soon as this plugs in, inside of this tiny little plastic right here, inside of this is a Wi-Fi chip, a mini computer, and this thing emulates a keyboard and can type at 860 characters per second. So what I'll do is, because I'm sure you don't want me to plug this into your computer, right?
No, I don't.
So let me get my computer set up real quick.
Did you say $20,000 for that?
Well, so the NSA has a look up if you get it. Oh, it's still stuck on the scan, but definitely check back at that. But look up NSA OMG cable, and then you should see that's the actual cable itself. But if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll probably see where the NSA is selling their own version of it. Before my friend,
there it is. I just found it. $20,000. Yep, I'm going to text it to you, Rob. Wow.
Yeah, so MG was able to pull it off for a couple $100, which is unbelievable. And it is so dangerous, man. It's just, I have so many gadgets with me, and we probably don't have enough time to go through. I mean, I have literally 50 plus gadgets with me. So I'll show you a couple of them, but don't want to go too crazy. Yeah, that's a European site that you can buy it from.
Yeah, right there. It says complete wireless pen testing, payload platform invisibility embed inside a cable. Originally a clandestine NSA tool costing over $20,000. Now available to everyone. $200.
Yeah, there's a name for it too. I think it was, I can't remember the exact name the NSA was calling it, but you could see the actual government document with the cost for exactly the same thing.
So now what does this do?
So I'm going to show you what it does, but it can monitor your keystrokes. So you can put this in line in between your
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you can put this in line in between your keyboard and your computer. I could put this in straight into your phone. I could put this, I can type keys at, like I said, at 860 words per second. I can leave it there and come back later. This thing has its own Wi-Fi network that I connect to inside of this. And then if you were to, you can match this up to yours and see it's absolutely identical.
100% same thing.
Yeah, so if you didn't have that little orange thing on there, you'd easily lose that.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Is the one you have, is that the new design or is that the...
I couldn't even tell you. This is just...
well, I just meant is it the woven one? Or
this is the one that's the Apple one. This is actual Apple.
Okay, so let me show you the Apple one while my computer is booting. I don't know why it's not booted up yet. I have so many of them. He gave me a ton. Yeah, here, look at this one. That is not an Apple charger.
This is the same thing as the other one?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so let's just say you give this to somebody you're spying on, okay? They put it to charge. You're now seeing who I'm texting, what I'm doing, videos I'm playing, everything I'm doing, you're seeing all of it.
Not texting, because I can't, but on the computer, yes. Yeah, on the phone, I'm able to inject keystrokes into the phone. Let's say I want to install a virus on your Android or something. I could do that with that device, but I can't tell what you're typing. On your computer, I can tell what you're typing. So these things are wild.
$200.
Yeah, per cable, you know.
Who buys them? Who uses them?
So they're intended for penetration testers like myself to do the right thing. But, threat actors can buy them as well. All right, so let's get this thing.
They're intended for penetration tests that you do for companies.
Yes. Okay, so make sure everything's plugged in. We're not on any. Yeah, there's no internet here. All right, so what I'm going to do is, and you can see here that without this this orange thing I have on here just so I don't lose it with my actual charger. Yep. But I don't have to have that on here. I just don't want to lose it. So I'm going to plug this into USB-C, which you can pick whatever one you want. So that's plugged into USB-C. This side I'm not going to connect to anything. I could charge my phone with it. I could do whatever I want with it. But what I'm going to do is on my phone, I'm going to go to Wi-Fi. I'm going to click OMG. Now I just created a network from this cable that's plugged in. It's not plugged into
we don't have an OMG network here.
No.
Okay.
No, and this is not plugged into anything.
Okay.
So this is creating a Wi-Fi network.
Yep.
I'm going to go to it in my browser. And then I have an interface here that I can connect with. So I'm going to go in the file menu. I'm going to load payload 1. There we go. All right, so ready? Now, I'm going to hit build and run, which I could be very far away from the computer. This is just showing an example of it. See how fast that's typing?
What's it doing?
It's typing PBD podcast and 0 Day was here.
Get out of here.
So that could have been anything. That could have been a malicious command. That could have been a virus that it downloaded. That could have been anything that I wanted it to be. And I have now remote control over this cable that if I plug right into my phone, watch, plug it into my phone. Charging. You would have no idea that this implant is in your house.
Just because there's a Wi-Fi in here?
And more. There's more in there. I'm just simplifying it.
So this is like a small little computer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it weighs the same, looks the same, feels the same. You would never know that thing is extremely dangerous.
And so this is used for an ethical person to do a penetration test on a company. What does an unethical hacker do with that tool right there?
An unethical hacker can use this tool to steal people's credentials, to monitor and to spy on people, to look through your webcam, to try to get access to your network, to your phone. They're going to do it for the criminals do bad things. An ethical hacker is going to try to access your computer, to access other computers, to try to take over your company, so that you can show where the weaknesses are, so you can make it better. So it's essentially the same concepts though. But one has a good goal in mind. The other one has, screwing someone over in mind.
$20,000. NSA used to use it. Now $200.
Yeah, and that's just for one cable. I could show you all of them if you want to see them all. But
same exact type of a cable.
Yeah, they just look like a real cable. And I got a real funny one actually. That's so the way that I would recommend protecting yourself from this would be with what's called a data blocker, right? So a data blocker is something like this. I'll show you. Okay, so there's two things here I want to show you. So you can buy a data blocker for about $5 on Amazon. You can plug any USB device into it, and it's only going to limit it to charging, so that even if it is a malicious cable, it can't be abused. This is funny. So this was kind of a joke that my friend, he made this, but it's a product he sells. It's a data blocker called the Unblocker that blocks these attacks, but also has payloads in it to do the same thing. So it's a USB data blocker and looks just like one, but also does what you just saw. It allows you to inject wireless keystrokes and monitor keys, etc.
So that is for what? That is for somebody to protect themselves against what somebody could do then?
Yeah.
And that's how much? $5?
No, this one's like $150.
That's $150.
Yeah, this is.
Who needs that?
I mean, I don't think you need it. I think it's safer to use a real data blocker, pay $5, $10 on Amazon for one. This one's more of just a joke. Like, here's a data blocker that I'll swap yours out with, and then I can inject payloads through your data blocker.
Is that like an RFID or no? That's different.
No, it's different. I'll show you that in a second, actually. And this is the malicious cable detector, which is his other thing. And I feel like I'm promoting the crap out of him right now, and I'm trying.
I'm sure he's appreciating. I'm sure he's getting a lot of business right now.
Well, I hope so. But he's such a nice guy. He was a help desk guy that ended up doing extremely cool things in the hacking world. But this is a malicious cable detector that he also sells, that if you want to be extra overboard, you can buy, plug it into this, and it'll tell you if it's a malicious cable or not.
Got it.
So yeah, let me put these back. But I want to show you one more thing that you to worry about, something you can check at home. That is kind of an interesting concept.
So you got a girlfriend?
Yeah.
So with your girl, I mean, you probably know everything she's doing.
So you'd be surprised. A lot of people think that. A lot of people think that having a girlfriend and having the ability to go through her stuff basically whenever I wanted to, I'm going to take that.
You really could. I mean, you can find out everything she's doing.
I could, but I don't, and I haven't done that, almost. I've done it maybe when I was younger a few times, but as an adult, I realized that no matter who you are, you're going to find something you don't like no matter what, whether it be a smile. I'm not a jealous guy by any means, but you're going to find a smiley face here or there. You're going to find a heart emoji here or there. It's like, do I want to piss myself off for no reason? So I just don't. I don't look. If they're going to cheat, they're going to cheat on you regardless of what you tell them they're going to do, or tell them what you want them to do, who they can and who they can talk to. Like, don't even try. They're going to cheat on you or they're not going to cheat on you. So that's just my mentality on it.
Good for you. And so what is that? Do you get those Ritz Cheese Krispies because that's like your...
Yeah, we're going to promote Ritz on the...
I got this point. I'm sitting down with the greatest salesman of all time.
We got Ritz cheese crackers here at the TBD podcast. But yeah, I don't know. I just was hungry. I brought these.
I thought you were going to do something with that. I'm like, so he brought Ritz.
No, I was just hungry.
My kids would be running here right now if that was here. You'd become their best friend.
I love Ritz Bits, but my mouth is so dry. This thing's would probably kill me right now. But screen crab, this one's an interesting one. So the cameras aren't set up in a way for me to demonstrate it, but check this out. So you can probably, oh gosh, it's in there. Okay, so this device, if you see on one side, it has USB-C.
Yep.
Which you could do USB-C to USB-A, which is just this little square USB, and then HDMI HDMI, and then it also has a little antenna.
Okay.
Right? You don't need the antenna. It also has one other thing here for an SD card, which you can fit right here with, you can put 2 terabytes in this thing, or a terabyte, a lot of storage. Put your HDMI in, put your power in. Every TV, every monitor, for the most part, is going to have a USB port. So get a small USB port, a small HDMI, put this in the back of a computer screen or the back of a computer desktop, and you could even put a little post-it note saying like HDMI enhancer or do not remove or IT only, like something that, would scare somebody from unplugging it. And this thing can wirelessly, from quite some distance, transmit with almost no delay in high quality what's going on the screen. And if you're not within proximity, let's say you go out of the proximity of this antenna, it stores all of that footage on the SD card, which could be, from what I was actually told by a friend, years, depending on the interval of how often it's taking snapshots. So check behind your screens, check behind your computers, look for a device like this, which is like a man-in-the-middle type of device that is capturing your screen. And, there's so much more out there to be scared of, but this is something that you could easily check. If it's there, unplug it and throw it in the trash, call the police, do whatever you got to do.
So that's gonna record everything you're doing on your screen?
Yes, in high quality, too.
And how much is that?
I don't know.
What's the most expensive tool he's got that he's selling? Does he have something?
These are all different people. Yeah, these are all different.
What's the most expensive tool out of all these tools that you know that,
The most expensive one I have with me right now is this one because it's just enterprise.
$800, but what else? What's something that's astronomical, but what it does is ridiculous?
I would say, I can't give you all the specifics on how it works, but the Cellbrite, which is how some phones are dumped, they're very expensive. Like dumped for all the data that's on them, and they're used usually for criminals and traffickers and pedophiles. Cellbrite is a very
Cellbrite or Celebrite?
Celebrite.
That one right there?
Yeah, Celebrite.
And how much would that be?
They range, I think, from 20 to 50,000. I don't know. I don't want to give you a false number. So some wild number.
Got it. And so I'm assuming when you're going through stuff like this, you probably have some guys that reach out to you. I know I heard about a story with you and James O'Keefe where Project Veritas reached out to you. How did that end up with the story?
So James O'Keefe himself did not reach out to me. He was already gone, I guess, by that point. I didn't know anything about Project Veritas. I did see a momentary clip of them with with a previous story that they had, but I didn't know anything about them. I'm not a big politics guy. I don't know much about. I don't know. It's just not my thing. So I seen them just passing around the internet. But whatever the case is, they going back to what we were saying earlier. I went on a small podcast with, I think, a guy named Gerard. And Gerard questioned me. He said, why did you get involved in this same question you asked me? What piqued your interest, right? So I answered that question, talking about these screenshots from my friend's wife and much more. And that clip gets over 10 million views overnight. And now all of the media, all kinds of people want to know the full story. And it's like, okay, I had to be force-fed to the public for people to take action on this. But the first person that reached out that had some type of credibility, at least on the outside of what it appeared to be, was Project Veritas. I didn't know anything about them. I just saw they had a lot of followers.
So you've never heard of them before until they reach out to you?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, other than I remember their logo from a video, but that's it.
Got it.
I don't know any of their inner dynamics.
You're not really a political guy. You're not in that world, where politics is something you're interested in.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't even know who James O'Keefe was. And so Project Veritas reaches out and they said, we'll come to Florida like within 24 hours. We'll come by tomorrow and we want that data. We want to investigate it. And I was like, okay, great. So Project Veritas jumps on a plane. They come to Florida. They take the data from me and they actually did commit to their word. So what happened is they grabbed the data. There was a lot of people on their team. I would say at least bare minimum, there was 6 working at all times, going through each user individually, identifying who they were, and then confronting these people in real life, showing up where they were at with cameras, confronting them for being on this website. And that was going incredible. I was like, okay, I finally have a group of people that are taking it seriously. These people are going to get exposed. They're going to prison. Like, this is awesome. So a couple of weeks later, I go on the Sean Ryan show, which he's an awesome guy. Sean Ryan is an incredible guy.
Very good at what he does.
Yeah, and such a nice, kind-hearted, intelligent man. Like I would, and same thing with Sean Ryan. I'd never seen a podcast of his. I didn't even know who he was. I just like
Well, he's very good at what he does.
I love him. Yeah. I love him. He's a great guy, and I was willing to go on his podcast, but the way that it was structured was Project Veritas was going to do their release, which was catching one of the predators from that database, which they did. They released their first video, which was it went okay for them, but not great because they were getting a lot of hate at the time for James O'Keefe. Sean Ryan then released early because he made an agreement with Project Veritas that they were going to have their second release after I went on the Sean Ryan show. Well, they had an interim CEO come in. Her name was Hannah, who then got on the phone with me and told me that she's looking for more of a tsunami, and this is not something that they want to continue with. So after identifying over 500 pedophiles and in a huge database of pedophiles, so there was way more work to do, way more people to confront, this interim CEO shuts it down. And then the Sean Ryan show, I end it by saying, we're going to be releasing more information, basically, and it never happens because the interim CEO shut it down. So all of that investigatory work that was done by all of the people at Project Veritas, it was for almost nothing, which was sad to see because those people really tried hard, and I respect them for it.
How much time did they put into it with you?
Oh, I mean, a lot of time. I would
so
say
there's 500 of them, and they didn't want to do anything with 500?
They confronted a few of them in real life, but after I got shut down by that interim CEO, no.
And is that interim CEO still there or no?
I don't know. I would check. I'm kind of curious. Her name was Hannah.
Project Veritas CEO Hannah Giles quits. The chief executive of Project Veritas said Monday she stepped down from a role at Project Veritas. So who is Project Veritas? Is strong evidence of past illegality. Is interesting. I don't know this person. I don't know what she's done.
Yeah, I've never met her in person. I just talked to her on the phone once, and she told me that the story was not a tidal wave. But what I would say back to Hannah now, if she was watching this show, is, well, there's about 2 billion views on the internet to say otherwise. And she should have taken the story seriously because it would have not only helped Project Veritas and the brand at the time, but it would. The more important part is it would have helped a ton of people.
What brand was that?
Project Veritas. Like they were getting so much hate at that time for the owner James O'Keefe leaving or getting fired or whatever really happened. Like this would have been a perfect opportunity for them to restore their name and do something good in the meantime. And she just shut it down because she didn't believe in it for whatever reason.
After she stepped down, did anybody else ever reach out to you? Have you talked to anybody else or no?
Yeah, so some of the reporters that would, like, I have no problem with the reporters that helped me out. There was a few of them guys that really seemed to care and were very furious that they couldn't do anything about it. They actually moved on. Some of them work for the Crowder show now, the Steven Crowder. They've moved, they've kind of jumped all over the place, but them guys really cared about this project, especially when they saw how many children were on the site. Because remember, 4-year-old data approximately, some of these kids were 16 that we can now identify now. We see they're 18, 19, so they must have been children when they were members, and they were claiming to be kids at that time. So they were selling their bodies to adults for money on this website and much more.
Why do you think she didn't go live with it?
I wish I could tell you. I don't know. It's not a tidal wave, was her words.
That's not a tidal wave?
I mean, I don't understand why. I mean,
do you remember the exact time when she told you it's not a tidal wave? I wonder what the timeline was previous to her stepping down. Would you know the month-ish?
When did she step down?
It's December of 23.
December of 23. That would have been, so May 8th is when the Sean Ryan show released. I remember that because Penn Tester got a ton of traffic at that time. So the Sean Ryan show being released, and then that thing blew up pretty quick. So it would have been right around that time.
So it's 7 months later because December 11th when she stepped down.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Well, she's going to see this.
No, Hannah, I don't get it, but it is what it is. That the situation is being handled regardless. It's not like it got thrown away. Just Project Veritas wasn't the group that was able to solve it or investigate it further. I had to take other avenues, which thankfully I'm capable of doing now. but I didn't have the ability to do what I'm doing now prior to force, like I said, force feeding the public, which I didn't even mean to do either. It just happened that way.
Well, no, you're everywhere. I mean, at this point, there's nothing you can do about it. You're everywhere, and we see videos of you, 20 million, 25 million, 30 million. Then you have so many clips that have gone all over the place. But let me ask a different question. So one of the things you showed, a tool, was that you can intercept where planes are going and the traffic. And you said that's legal. You can do that, right? However, you said you also have the ability to influence it, which that's illegal, right?
Transmitting on that ADSB is illegal.
Illegal, okay. So we saw 3 months ago, or a couple months ago, President Trump assassination attempt on him. I say 3 months ago. Rob, it feels like 3 months. I don't think it was 3 months ago. What was the date? July 13th or?
July 13th.
Okay, so we're talking about, it's only 5 weeks.
Yep.
It's as if it was a year ago, right? That no one's talking about. So July 13th assassination attempt on the president. They missed him half an inch away. We're having a different conversation today on, who's running for president on the conservative side. We know what happened on the left. It could have stayed Joe Biden, but we would know who's going to be running on the conservative side. He's had to have emergency landings being made. I think he had to do one, Rob, if I'm not mistaken. I think even J.D. Vance had to do one last week, okay? Is there tools that if somebody was, really wanting to do something to manipulate with a plane and a Boeing plane, is there tools to be able to hack into planes or no?
Yeah, well, I mean, these planes are very old. I'm not saying that one device that I've showed online is capable of redirecting a Boeing 757 or whatever, but, I wouldn't play around either. I wouldn't be transmitting radio while I'm in a plane trying to mess with the pilot's controls or their radio. But yeah, it would be unreasonable to think that it's not a possibility with think of how old these airplanes are that are flying around. If you look at the average age of just even an American, like name the airline other than Spirit and Frontier, because they got brand new planes for whatever reason. These planes are 20 plus years old.
Well, his plane is 33 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
first flight is 91.
Of course, technology can be upgraded. So who knows what the status is?
When it comes down to plane, it's slightly different because what you're doing is upgrading the engine. Sometimes the engines cost $750,000 to $1.5 million, depending on the size of the plane, on what it is. Some can go even higher. And then on the inside, you just want to fix up the place. It's like rebuilding a house, right? And then the tube is the tube. It's not like you need to do anything with the tube, and then tires, just like cars, tires, you can adjust them. But technology is different. If the board is the same technology as it was 91, now you got a problem there, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, then how about we flip it, okay? Let's say Trump is your uncle. You love the guy, okay? And you want to do anything because you have a good relationship with the guy. You want to protect him. You got all these tools you got access to. What would you do to make sure to minimize the level of threats that he's going to have?
I would probably obviously vet the people around him. Like if you mean him being on a plane.
Equipment-wise. I'm talking purely equipment-wise on a plane.
On a plane? I mean, you can't, there's not too much that you can do other than monitor. Like if I could monitor for people trying to mess with things, but I can't.
So you could monitor somebody trying to hack into the plane?
Depending on if it's wireless. If it's not wireless, then no. I mean, I would have to have access to the way to the actual plane itself and know how the plane works. And I don't know how Boeing works electronically for me to determine if somebody was hacking it or not. So, but I mean, if I was in that scenario, to answer your question, if he was my uncle or someone I cared about deeply, I would figure it out. But I don't know enough to give you an answer like in depth.
For a guy like you that's a hacker, and he's got a lot of people that are enemies of his that don't like him, does that at all cross your mind? Were you concerned about that with plane? Like right now today, for me to come to you today to do the interview, I was in Tampa. I went to Tampa this morning at 7:45, 8 a.m. I did the business that I needed to do, got on a plane, flew back. The worst, probably top 3 worst flight I've ever been on, and I've been on 1,000 flights in the last 25 years, okay? One of the top 5 worst flights ever, with turbulence. It was very bad. Like people were about to throw up and it was choppy coming in, right? Okay, now that's turbulence. right? It wasn't like it was somebody was manipulating with it. It's weather. It was bad coming in. It's Florida. It's a little bit weird. You know, it's a 30-minute flight. Whenever you have a 30-minute flight, the problem with a 30-minute flight is your elevation doesn't go that high, so you always stay in the middle. And in the middle, you're right in between the clouds. And so it's too many issues to cause it to be that bad.
Right.
But for you as a hacker, and you're in the community of other people that are in it, does the idea of somebody being able to attack it from this angle at all concern you, or not really?
No, not at the moment. No. I think that anything is possible, but it's my main concerns have been, you know, a little bit different. I'm not super educated on like the security around airplanes. You're not that on what the planes. Like I don't know what type of software they're running or how they're.
But you could figure it out if you wanted to.
Yes.
Okay. But you're not too worried about it.
No, not at the moment. No.
It's not a priority of yours. So maybe what we need to do is send you to Ancestry to see if Trump is an uncle of yours for you to start caring. You know, for you to, you know.
Well, hey, if they want to hire me to check out their planes, I'll learn it. I'll figure it out.
That's a different story. Got it. Okay. Do you, aside from this being your world and this being your interest, what other interests do you have? Like, do you study history? Do you study spies? Do you study like different secret intelligence? Do you study anything like that? Or what interests do you have?
It's actually quite surprising. So, you know, computers, hacking, protecting kids, and business is my main priorities. But when I'm not doing that, I love fast cars. I love dirt bikes. I love go-karts. I like drifting. So I build my own drift trikes, like 3-wheel drift trikes. I'm kind of like a hybrid nerd, you know? I like computers, but I also like the quote-unquote cool kid stuff.
The cool kid stuff. I noticed you got a nice watch on, and
thank you.
You like the nice cars. My kids right now, we went to the biggest Ferrari dealership in the world is down the street here. I don't know if you've been to it or not.
I have been to it.
Okay, it's a
I went to it with my friend Dr. Teresa. She loves cars as well.
Dr. Teresa?
Yeah.
She likes nice cars.
Yep.
Well, good for Dr. Teresa.
Yep.
Did she buy anything or no?
No.
So have you been there lately?
It's been a long time.
So they got what do you like? Are you a Ferrari or a Lambo guy?
Lambo guy.
Okay. You know what you would look good in? An orange Lambo with black wheels. Rob, what do you...
You sound like Nostradamus.
I don't know. I think it's just this stuff that you're teaching, you know, sharing. Something's happening to me, and I'm able to kind of predict the future that a car like that. By the way, I think I had the same exact car, just so you know that.
Yeah.
Like literally, I think I had and if you type in Patrick Bet-David orange Lamborghini, if the picture comes up, I swear to God, I'm going to crack up. Patrick Bet-David orange Lamborghini. Let's see if it'll come up. Zoom in. Just go to images. Go to images right there. There should be one. There it is.
Oh, that is literally the same car. That's it.
Yeah,
no way.
You're gonna love the car. Is what I'm saying. I have a feeling you're gonna love it. Anyways, at this Fort Lauderdale dealership, they have SP1s. They have SP2s. I don't know if you're familiar with the Monza.
A little bit. Not
they have
much.
an SP3. They got a LaFerrari, and I think they got an Enzo. They got a very, very nice collection here. The cars.
LaFerraris are crazy.
If you like it, they got all of that right now. If you're that crazy into it, so question on a couple things, because when I think about hacking, I think about the world you're in. I pulled up a couple things. I'm curious to know how much of the stuff like this you're even into. Have you ever studied the Franklin child prostitution allegations, or no?
No.
You don't know much about that.
No.
Okay. How familiar are you with the Promise software? With Robert Maxwell. The Promise software, Robert Maxwell, that was sold to other countries, that was so advanced.
I mean, it definitely rings a bell, but I don't know it.
Okay.
So I don't think I know much about it.
Got it.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
And studying spies and things like that, that's not you. Mm-hmm. You're not. So you're fairly simple guy, aside from this kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot more simple than people think.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you're going to be somebody that's but you know what it is?
I'm not one of those actually type of guys.
Yeah, you're not that guy.
No.
Well, I'm kind of grateful you're not. It's better to be just the way you are, because just the way you are is positively impacting the world, which is great to see. And again, for parents who are watching this and you're asking yourself, man, I got a lot of questions for a guy like this on how to be careful with the stuff that's going on. He's also on Monect. You can ask him any question you want on Monect, and he will get back to you, as well as some of you guys that are business owners who have some questions for him to want to maybe do a penetration test or find out what other things that he's doing, you can also set up a call, ask him a question. He's also on Connect. Ryan, this has been a blast. I appreciate you for coming here. I will give you the last thoughts on what you want to tell the audience before we wrap up.
Thank you. And it was an absolute pleasure. I was super nervous coming onto the show, and I know I missed a ton of things, but I hope that I was able to educate people at least a little bit. And I want to make obviously I'm on Connect. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to me on other socials. I go by a different name, 0DAY, like the digit 0, not the word 0. 0 day. So feel free to reach out, but Connect as for your podcast and for that's your business as well, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much for having me on the show. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and yeah, stay safe, everyone.
Oh man, appreciate you.
Hey guys, my name is Ryan Montgomery, also known as 0 Day. I'm proud to be part of the app Connect. If you have any questions regarding child safety, cybersecurity, or even any of the gadgets that you see me use all over the internet, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you with any questions or concerns you may have. Stay safe.